Top 5 Week 1 breakout players. These are people that maybe we didn't know about, or he did. I mean, we probably maybe knew about it more than your average fan because it's what we do. But even some of these guys, never heard of them until this week. But top 5 Week 1 breakout players, people to watch. Number 5, wide receiver Bryce Ford-Wheaton from West Virginia. Really impressed with this guy.
Yes.
He's really good and playing special teams, big body,
like him.
Can do a lot of things. Really enjoyed watching Bryce Ford-Wheaton.
He seems to me to be kind of like some of the Oklahoma State receivers we've seen. Big, physical. I'm not saying Dez or Blackman or whoever, but he's got that ability to take over a game.
Yeah, he had a grave mistake last week, obviously.
Yeah.
But, outside of that, he had a really good game, and I think everybody who watched that game is all, sympathetic towards him. Like, man, that really sucks that he had a bad moment because he played so well besides that. I think that's how everybody felt. He is one of the reasons, along with JT Daniels and a few others, that you're super excited about what West Virginia could potentially turn into. They're not ready to win a Big 12 title right now. But as the season goes along, so long as they can protect Daniels and keep him healthy, I think there's some fun toys to play around with, and I think he's certainly right there. He's a fun player, absolutely.
Yeah. Number 4, Jared Verse from Florida State. I did this one just for Garrett, but Garrett, you're gonna have nightmares about this dude.
I've had nightmares about him.
Hey, you're not the only one. That offensive line is the quarterback and the
Yeah.
kicker, and
Yeah. One of the best stories of the transfer portal to me is how Florida State, just watching Syracuse film last year and sees this kid from Albany running up and all over the field on the orange and decides, hey, if this kid gets in the portal, we're going to get him. And they were the first to call him, and they were the first to offer, and they were the first to get him.
Tampering.
Oh, I'm sure.
Did we ever ask Garrett about your thoughts on LSU? I mean, I know we asked kind of generally about LSU, but the missed extra point, I mean, after all of that, what were you even doing and watching and feeling at that point in time? Because I was just like, you got to be freaking kidding me, and yet I believe it. Entirely believe it the way that game went.
At that moment, I knew it was going to happen. I honestly thought they were going to have to come out, snap on the whistle, and the center had already had some issues. So,
Yeah, that still kind of doesn't make sense.
That was true. I was glad they were able to have a play because I was almost like
I wasn't.
Well, I know, but I was worried that they were going to this great ending. The game wasn't great, but the ending was going to just fizzle out with no extra. It was just going to be like a 10-minute meeting and then a referee's call and then let's go to Sports Center. And I was like, oh God, you can't end a game like that.
No.
So yeah, made for some good drama.
Yeah. Number 3, John Morgan II from Pitt was in the backfield all night long. JT Daniels knows him well. They got to spend some quality time together. This is a guy that was not quite as talked about with some of the Pitt defenders, but really had a great night in the backyard brawl on Thursday last week.
Yeah, I mean, it makes it a little bit more difficult to really know what to be concerned about with West Virginia. How much of their offensive line do we have to be worried about? And I still think there's some things to be worried about, but how much of that also too was the competition that they were playing, And so, I think you have to factor that in, and that's why, it's a tough loss, but I feel pretty good about West Virginia and just, the way that they're going to be able to be competitive this year. But yeah, he was a monster, and, Pitt and Tennessee is going to be something, man. That's going to be some kind of game. I just don't know what kind of game. I mean, Tennessee could come out and just score 21 in a blaze, and then they just basically just press on their neck the rest of the way, and you just kind of slowly, I guess drain the energy out of Pitt and just win in blowout fashion or get out big. Pitt rallies. I mean, how's this game going to go? Is Pitt going to be able to just from the get go just slow it down and make it kind of a slow trickle towards the end? I don't know, but Tennessee's awfully explosive. And I'm fascinated to see what kind of damage Morgan and others on that Pitt defense can do. And I'm also intrigued by what does Kevin Slovis do as a follow up? I mean, they weren't great offensively by any means, but that's a really, really interesting game.
Number 2, Drake Maye, quarterback from North Carolina. Look, North Carolina almost lost to Appalachian State. App State gave them all they wanted. The defense was abysmal, but did it nothing to do with Drake Maye. His first 2 games, admittedly against Florida A&M, at half speed and an App State team that didn't have a good defense. But I don't think they're going to miss Sam Howell as much as I thought they were. I don't think they're going to win a lot of games. I don't think they're going to stop a lot of people. But Drake Maye can sling it now. So
Appalachian State plays at College Station this weekend, 18-point underdogs. That could be fun.
I mean, I know App State makes us think automatically that that'll be,
Michigan.
But I don't know. A&M's awfully big up front. I just don't know how
Yeah, I think
App State can really.
that's the disparity between the biggest difference is what App State's
Yeah.
going to see up front between these two teams. But Drake Maye, someone to watch in the ACC.
Yeah.
He's a freshman, exciting player. So Mac Brown's got one to watch again, like he did with Sam Howell. And I don't think, like I said, I thought there were gonna be a drop off there, but so far so good for Drake Maye through 2 starts.
Is there any truth to the rumor he was recruited as a safety? The little Mac Brown jokes? No. Yeah, I mean, I think if you follow recruiting, you know who Drake Maye was, and I've seen bits and pieces of him so far. Kind of off to a weird start. Not him, but the Tar Heels just given sort of expectations. Especially when you go all the way back to last year and how that kind of started, and I don't know how much of a dent they've really made, but yeah. He's a good young player. Mac's recruiting well. They've got all the potential in the world out there in Chapel Hill.
And number 1, Jacoby Windmon from Michigan State. 4 sacks in his debut, the transfer from UNLV against Western Michigan. I don't care who you're playing. 4 sacks in a game is a ton. And brought in an edge rusher. Really, really impressive. Look, he's probably not going to get 4 sacks against Ohio State or Michigan, but if he gets 2, then those are game changers. If he gets 1, it could be game changers in games like that. But Jacoby Windmon, a guy that nobody really knew about outside of Michigan and UNLV, first game out of the box, 4 sacks. People are going to be watching him now.
That's a bunch. That is a ton. Nothing better than having guys who can get to the quarterback and pressure everything.
Yeah, they're also just another one of those really intriguing teams now with Mel Tucker at the helm and how they build off of last year. But that's one of those, every time remember when the transfer portal was a bad deal like a year and a half ago? And do we even bring that up at all anymore, really? No. I think people have seen the stories like that outweigh the, stories that are kind of the example A's for why this is a bad deal or why this isn't good for college football. That's, one of the examples now. Of course, it's a loss for his former team, and that's kind of you can't have it perfectly, but, obviously deserves to be playing at the next level, got an opportunity to, and, taking advantage of it so far, so good on him.